the challenges of taking an animated film and turning it into a show. Just really quickly, it's so interesting to us that Frozen is this thing. Like when people are like, there's a little show coming. Because to us, it will always be a little intimate show. That's where we were hired to work on this version of the Snow Queen. And we worked in a very small room with Jennifer Lee, and we actually took the inspiration from the idea of a Snow Queen, but really wrote a very small personal story about sisterhood and broken families, and how do you heal a family that starts closing doors and stops communicating, and how do we talk about the power of true love, not in the context of a romantic relationship. It is a very personal, small story to us. It was when we created Frozen, and it continues to be as we create the Broadway show. It's a story of love, it's a labor of love, and we're taking it as seriously and pouring as much of our emotion into it as we would if we were doing a small show in a public theater space with 200 seats. So that's the first thing that always is surprising when we hear about it from somebody else, that everyone's like, oh, giant Frozen show. Like, to us, no, it comes from us and it's very emotional. Bobby, do you want to talk about more of the technical issues about it?
Yeah. You might not. We didn't think about we were musical theater writers when we started to work at Disney Animation, and we didn't realize. We thought we knew how to do it because we'd written musicals before, and we'd seen animated movies, but we didn't know what the hell we were doing. Not really. We found out as we wrote it, how to do it.
There was one person in the room who knew what they were doing, and he got sick halfway. And so we were like, where's Gandalf? Where's Gandalf? And then he did show up back and was like, oh, I'm here to save you. Be gone!
So we realized, in an animated feature, you can only really write 7 or 8 songs at the most, and there were about 7.5 in Frozen the movie, because the very last act of an animated film has a lot of action in it, a lot of chases and escapes and explosions and whatever, and that stuff all trumps music. You don't want to stop for a song. And it's under 90 minutes as well. And a Broadway show with an intermission is about 2 hours, 2:15, something like that. So if you look at the Lion King, the cast album compared to the soundtrack, there are 21, 22 songs on the cast album versus 5 on the soundtrack. And so that's what we had to do for Frozen. We had to write, I think, 12, 13, something like that.
And lots of reprises.
Yeah.
Many reprises.
Tons of reprises, which we're still writing. Little moments here and there.
That went out yesterday.
Because on the stage, as you guys know, there's no film close-up. And what the musical theatrical technique is the song. That's how you get a close-up on stage. And so we realized that Elsa, the character of Elsa, was really accomplished through the use of close-ups in the movie. And so without losing the mystique of that character, we had to try and write songs that let you in just enough so that we wouldn't lose her charisma. So that was the huge challenge of expanding the score, making everything feel of a piece with the songs that people knew very well. And we didn't even realize this, but when we got to Denver, there was a feeling a little bit of, what is this? You know, we know these 7 songs. What are all these other songs?
Yeah, that was an interesting experience, and I think that's one of the bigger challenges that tying back to what I said earlier, is that people are coming to this show with an expectation of these 7 songs that they've heard in the minivan since 2013. And there's an entire, much deeper, more sophisticated score that we've added to it. And so that is the challenge, is the moment that the audience comes thinking they're getting they're getting the thing that they think it is because of the dresses and the lunch boxes and the string cheese. There's a string cheese. There's like frozen string cheese. I did once. I was standing in like a little diversion in Key Food Line, and there was a guy behind me. It was Friday night. And he had 2 6-packs and a thing of frozen string cheese. And I thought, it's gonna be a heck of a night for you. The string cheese and everything does create this idea of what frozen is. And really what frozen is, from our point of view, is a very personal, very deep emotional story about how do we break these roles that we get frozen into? How do we not allow fear to keep us from communicating? And that's where we've come from. So I'm hoping once the cast album is out, I'm hoping once you all come and see what an intimate, very personal story that we were trying to create with a lot of homespun theatricality behind it, that expectation will break down and people won't be expecting what we've delivered with, or what the company has delivered with Disney on Ice and that kind of, it's a very different feel, and we're really excited to share that.